Welcome back to my Storytime channel, everybody. I hope everyone is doing well. Today, I'm going to tell you guys about a time that I went to a basketball game and I took a friend with me. Um, we won the game that night. Everything was going well. Um, as we were leaving the stadium, there's like a ton of people leaving out, of course, everybody at the same time. Um, I saw a lady in the crowd and I asked her to take a picture of me and my friend. So she agreed to do so. And she had her son with her who looked to be about 5 years old. So she takes the picture of me and she hands me my camera back. And as she's handing my camera back to me, her 5-year-old son starts he starts walking with the crowd and he got swallowed up in the crowd really fast. So I'm like, oh, your son is leaving, and I'm pointing at him. I'm like, your son is leaving and he's going that way. So she starts looking around and she doesn't see him. So I'm like, he's in the crowd, he's going that way. So she goes the opposite way, like she just straight went into panic mode and she went the opposite way. So I went in the direction of her son to try and get her son out of the crowd. He was like so small and everyone of course is like towering over him. So um so her son is swallowed up in the crowd. She went the opposite direction, but I'm like, you know what? If worse comes to worse, at least I will have her son and I could take him like to security or something like that. So the boy is like really lost in the crowd and I'm pushing against the crowd. Everyone's leaving out and I guess he got turned around, so he's pushing against the crowd and he's like weaving through people and I'm trying to weave through people, but I'm going slower than him. People are pushing back on me and they're like, hey, wrong way, like they're like yelling at me like, where do you think you're going, like, hey, like watch out. And they're like bumping into my stomach. And I was 7 months pregnant, although I have to admit I did not look like I was 7 months. I don't think anyone really could tell. So um I finally catch up to the boy and I take him by his hand, but he pulled his hand out of my hand because he knows it, like he's 5. He knows not to like go with a stranger. So I hurry up and I grab his hand again and he pulls his hand out of my hand. He tried to run, so I grabbed him by his arm, like by his wrist, and I'm pulling him with me. I'm like, I'm gonna take you to your mom, and I'm like, and if I can't find your mom, I'm gonna take you to the security. I know your mom is going that way. So he's like kicking me, he's pinching me, he's scratching me, because he was not gonna get abducted. Okay, so he's fighting me, but I'm like, look, your mom's over there. So but like I'm still stronger than him, although he's like fighting back and like kicking at my shins and everything, because he thinks that I'm trying to take him. So and then all this is going on, no one's even noticing this. Like this was really bad. Like when I think back on it now, like this is really bad. Like no one even paid attention to. There's a lady with this little boy's trying to like get away from her. Like he's trying to get away from me. So I keep telling him, I'm like, if I can't find your mom, I'm gonna take you to the security. Like, no worries. I'm like, I know that you feel scared. So I'm trying to tell him as he's like fighting me. So I start pulling him in the direction of his mom. So um, he's kind of like losing his strength because he's starting to cry now because he thinks that I'm taking him. So I pull him. Now I'm going in the direction of the crowd and I have him by his hand and I'm like holding him with me and I'm like walking like with the crowd and I knew I couldn't pick him up. I could, although I really wasn't showing, but I knew I couldn't pick him up. He was about 5 years old. So I'm like, and I kept reassuring him, like, we're gonna go to your mom. I'm taking you to your mom. And if we cannot find your mom, I'm gonna see security and I'm gonna take you to the security. Like, you're gonna be fine. Your mom went that way. So, anyways, I catch up to his mom like a few minutes later, and she's crying, but she's frantically looking around. Like I don't even think she was even telling anybody that she's looking for her son. She was just like looking like indoors, like random doors. Like there's a ton of people, but I could see her, like she was in the distance. So once he sees her, now we're both kind of like walking really fast over to her. So she's like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So she was like, thank you. And she was had a bunch of mixed emotions. I could tell that she was crying. And so she says thank you, and then she left out of the doors. And yeah, that that's it. That's the story time. What's so funny about the whole thing is 2 months later, I have my son. 2 years later, a lady actually takes my 2-year-old son, you guys got to watch my other story time. So she takes him to her house, takes him to her job, and then her job tells her, this is about my son now, but you guys go watch my story time about the time that this lady took my son. But anyway, so I just wanted to quickly come on and share that story time with you guys. Like I said, I hope everybody is doing well. I hope you enjoyed this story time, and I will talk to everybody later, inshallah. And yeah, bye for now.